show. I'm with the mob and we don't move polite. I put 100 G's in a ledger for a sense of security. That's right, yeah. Chopping at the beat, I'm a psycho. I share my pain and it gave me a life. I put my beef with the odds to the side. Yeah, I showed them mercy. Oh, yeah. Pull up in that beat and they know it's us. Don't you move too quick, boy, you close enough. I'm sipping down Julio until I'm floating. Yeah, floating up. I'm with all the dogs, yeah, I clicked up. I cut out all the ones that was switching up. Gotta get them out. Made me sick as hell. Fucking do it by myself. Man, I wish you well. Yo. Us at the block is a light show. I'm with the mob and we don't move polite. I put 100 G's in a ledger for a sense of security. It's right, okay. Chopping at the beat, I'm a psycho. I share my pain and it gave me a life. I put my beef with the odds to the side. Yeah, I showed them mercy.
I got this light on my chest like I'm Iron Man. Been a beast since they let me out the lion's den. You peep the watch, it's starting to look like it's my time again. It's a few with chosen golden boy, little baby, I am him. This shit ain't always what it seems. Swear these little niggas couldn't walk in Mama Queens. Cold world, I'm just blowing smoke into the breeze. Big dog, I'm just brushing off the fleas.
Us at the block is a light show. I'm with the mob and we don't move polite. I put 100 G's in a ledger and it's all for security. It's right, okay. Chopping at the beat, I'm a psycho. I share my pain and it gave me a life. I put my beef with the odds to the side. Yeah, I showed them mercy.
The only thing that count, nigga. You did. Get a deposit, then I divide it. We never had it, so I provide it. I never stress, nigga, you blessed. But that don't mean I won't do things that I regret. For all of my niggas who kept it 100, I feel I'm in debt. For all of my people who back in my city, I gotta connect. I'm a survivor, little more wiser. Line of my chakras, third eye monster. I'm on a new level, it's a loose rebel to the Don P. From a wine cellar, got an upgrade on the time teller. Got some bands on, not the Margielas, need a pallbearer. Kill a nigga with a 16. Flow came with a wind chiller, need a chinchilla, nigga too cold. Truth told in the rap game, I ain't Von Miller, nigga beast mode. Fuck a nigga with them fake feelings like they been with us, y'all weirdos. Bitch, I know I've been the greatest, you ain't gotta stay that, I'ma let the work show. Told Meek Millie backstage, I'ma charge in through the front door. Facts, nigga. We gon' get that bag. Hefty sack, nigga. Get a deposit, then I divide it. We never had it, so I provide it. I never stress, nigga, you blessed. But that don't mean I won't do things that I regret. I can't forget about them times when I was broke. I can't forget about my dogs and all my folks. I kept my trust and kept my faith when they lost hope. I kept my focus, no emotions, ain't gon' show. Look at me now, full grown. Another shoulder with a chip on. Whack rappers in the kill zone. Predatory, get you preyed on. Niggas laying on your mama home while I'm flying in another time zone. We ain't talking money, get the dial tone. I've been meditating, got the mind strong. And I can't forget about my woes and my little bro. I had some friends who switched up sides and they got ghosts. And I had hoes was on my line, but doing the most. I've been through hell, but you can't tell the way I glow. Get a deposit, then I divide it. We never had it, so I provide it. I never stress, nigga, you blessed. But that don't mean I won't do things that I regret. I can't forget about them times when I was broke.
Hey, pipe up, Hood Rich.
Doing something different, had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but
down and one. It's Hill. Taysom Hill picks up the Saints first down, still going. Wow. Spins. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I got sauce, I got flavor. Get in all this paper. I got sauce, I got flavor. Get in all this paper. Plain Jane Paddock on my motherfucking wrist. They notice every time when I walk up in this bitch. Hustle, walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. Hustle, walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. My chopper hit. My chopper hit. Martinez. My 48 hits up. My 48 hit. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. Doing something different. And I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section. Every night we live it up.
Freshman of the year a couple of seasons ago. Big hole up the middle, now cutting it left side, cutting it back the 10-5 touchdown, Tyree Shelton, and what an opening drive for Miami of Ohio.
Game, but Central Michigan has since come out of the locker room and scored 10 unanswered points.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, my.
And he was not down.
On his feet, ladies and gentlemen, Bert Emanuel. We talked about a shining star for Central Michigan. Pushing the ball, second off free. I'm reaching the end zone. You can't stop me.
Still talking to guys. Toledo with the ball. Open space, finding a receiver. Matt Landers. Foot race, no one's gonna catch him. An 80-yard touchdown pass from Daquan Finn to Matt Landers and to
we said back in January we wanted to be right here. Man's greatest struggle, in my opinion, is doing what you said you wanted to be all the time, and they did it today.
Another couple of snowmen, but none of them hold a candle to that. What?
Tune into that right after this. But one thing I want to talk about beforehand, but yeah, one thing I want to say is I want to give a special shout out to Coach JB. You know, and I'll say it again on the next podcast. He allowed me to use a clip off of his interview with Baby Gronk, and we'll go over Baby Gronk after this podcast. Not this podcast, but the podcast after. So, Coach JB, if you're watching, thank you, man, for allowing me, also the PMP, to utilize and give our own take on the interview in some aspects. I actually watched the whole interview. I'll give my own thoughts about that. That's not what we're here to talk about. I like to go off subject every once in a while, but we're here to talk. Having some issues today, huh? All right. So. Yeah, so MAC football, welcome to the PM mother effing P, because we are going to talk about you today. the Mid-American Conference. Now, this conference is one of the oldest conferences in Division I football, as a matter of fact. They are the third oldest, being established in 1946, right after World War II. It comprises with 12 members. The two conferences are older. The Big Ten Conference, which was established in 1896, and the Southeastern Conference, which is Chamo's favorite conference and soon to be my favorite conference once we get into the conference. That was established in 1932. And then 14 years later, the Mid-American Conference was born. And you have these mid teams, not to say anything degrading about these teams, but another conference that beats each other up, so and what I mean by that, it's very competitive, it's very spontaneous, I would say, as far as competition goes. Like, anybody could beat anybody at any given Saturday. These are just my thoughts. So, MAC fans, are you ready? Because if you are, let's go ahead and talk about the Akron Zips, who have a second-year head man. His name is Joe Moorhead. Now, Akron last year, they went 2-10 with a 1-7 conference record. Not very good. Akron hasn't been that really good in the last several years. Really, in the past 2 decades, or really just when I've been around, they just have not been good at all. It's like one of those teams that you watch every week and you go, oh, that's going to be 50 points. That's going to be 60 points, and it's almost impressive that they win 2 games a year. That's almost a guaranteed win. That's like a FCS win right there. But let's go ahead and talk about Akron, all right? September 2nd, they'll take on Temple at Temple, and then they'll play at home for the first time against Morgan State. I hope they win that game. Surely they should win that game. Are they, though? Then they have 2, I would say right there in the middle of the pack of both the Big Ten and the SEC, back-to-back. Kentucky, they will travel to Kentucky, and then they'll travel to Indiana afterwards. And then after that, they'll play at home for the first MAC game to take on the Buffalo Bulls. Not the Bills, the Bulls. I think this is going to be a tough schedule for Akron already. Then they play home against Northern Illinois, October 7th. So that's going to be a interesting game because we all know that both teams are not doing so hot right now. Then they have 2 back-to-back road games at Central Michigan, and then they travel to Bowling Green to take on the Falcons. And then afterwards, November 1st, they take a fucking bye week, a 2-week bye week. Fucking crazy how the fuck they manage that. They play a home game against Kent State, then they travel in their last road game to take on Miami of Ohio, which I think could be a contender for the MAC championship. Then they play not easy home games, but it's a 10-day stretch. I think it'll be beneficial if this was a good team. Eastern Michigan and then Ohio. Akron hasn't been that relevant since LeBron James came out of there. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest, guys. And that's not football. I shouldn't be talking about LeBron James on my podcast. I don't even like that son of a bitch, to be honest. But another day, another story, whatever the fucking saying is nowadays. But let's go ahead and go on to my ceiling, my floor, and my predictions. And before I do that, the recruit ranking for Akron is 108. So you wonder why they're so fucking god awful. They don't recruit well. Transfer portal rankings, 92, tied for 92nd. Okay? And there are a couple of teams on here that are tied for 105th, but I have an asterisk on there for a reason, stating that they are not ranked properly or they just don't have enough star power to fucking be ranked. But Akron has the 92nd tied overall fucking transfer portal ranking. But here's my ceiling, my floor, and overall prediction. My ceiling, 6-6. My floor, 1-11. My overall prediction, well, I give them a 3-9. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt this season. I think this is going to be a good season for Akron. So one more game to win, they have a good season. That's the Akron way. That is the Zipperoonie way. So go Zips. Next team I want to talk about. They've been in the MAC conversation before. Mike New, he is coming in his 8th season with a 33-48 record. Not very good. 2022, they went under 500 at 5-7 with a 3-5 conference record. And that is Ball State. Ball State, the Cardinals. I really do think they are a team that could either wreak havoc in the Mid-American Conference, which doesn't take much, or they could be fucking awful, just like Akron. I don't know. I just don't know what is going to happen with Ball State this season. I hope they do well. I really do hope they do well. But yes, here is Ball State's schedule right here. Nice little flashy bird. They have 2 major road games against 2 SEC schools, Kentucky, and then they have a tough road game to take on the defending national champions back-to-back, Georgia. And then they play at home, their first home game against Indiana State, and then they take on Georgia Southern at home. And then they have the first 2 MAC competitions against Western Michigan, at Western Michigan. God, what is that fucking town called? Kalamazoo? I think they're from Kalamazoo. And then they travel to Eastern Michigan to take on the Eagles over there. And then October 14th, they'll play at home against Toledo. And they'll take on Central Michigan after that. And then they have... What the fuck is up with this double bye week shit? That's the second team in a row they have had double bye weeks. So, it's either I don't know my math or it looks like a fucking double bye week. So, they will travel to Bowling Green November 1st, and then they'll play 6 days later at Northern Illinois. Then they have the rest of the games at home to take on Kent State and Miami of Ohio. So,
all I'm saying is after Georgia, they're going to need that double bye week, man.
They should have had it after Georgia. They should have had it after Georgia.
Right.
To heal.
Yeah.
To heal. I mean, I would hope that they would consider Indiana State as a bye week, but Jesus Christ. You got Kentucky and Georgia to travel to? Fuck.
And Kentucky's actually decent at football now, so.
And we will cover Kentucky and Georgia in the SEC preview, but man, Kentucky has Devin Leary at quarterback now. A little bit better than Will Levis. So a little bit better than Will Levis. So I really am excited to talk about Kentucky with Jama whenever we get to that point. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the ceiling, the floor, and the prediction. The recruit ranking. Yeah, the recruit ranking is 105, but the transfer portal is 90. They're tied at 99. I mean, these teams are not good at transfer portals. I mean, is it really odd? God damn, like they really do not do well in the transfer portal. Only one that actually did well, which I'll go over them here in a little bit, but I don't know. Let's just go ahead and talk about their schedule. Jesus Christ. Ball State. My ceiling 8-4. Floor 2-10. And then my overall prediction 5-7. They are going to be 5-7 this season again. I don't know. This conference just beats the fuck out of each other every year. They come up with surprises and then they fucking falter to teams that they shouldn't lose to. I mean, it's the Mid-American Conference. Let's be honest. Next team we're going to talk about. Bowling Green. Used to be known as Bowling Green State. They are fucking... They were a bowl contending team last season. We're going to talk about the first bowl contending team in this conference. The Bowling Green Falcons. I really do. I hate their fucking color scheme. Fucking puke orange and fucking shit. Like, what in the fuck? Who came up with that color combination? Now the white uniforms are clean. The white helmet, the white uniforms, I do like that. But why on God's earth would you fucking have brown? Like, you're not the Cleveland Browns. You fucked it up if you were trying to go with the Cleveland Browns. Like, what in the fuck is this shit? Like, I really cannot understand why they fucking decided to go with this. Before I touch on the schedule and almost have a heart attack with the amount of ugly that is on this fucking screen right now because of the fucking uniform. I'm going to talk about the recruit and transfer portal ranking. The recruit, 118. It's getting only worse from here, but there's teams that actually do have good recruiting rankings as far as the Mid-American Conference is concerned. But it's only going to get worse from here, fellas. And Bowling Green did not have a eligible enough fucking transfer portal ranking. I don't know. I think they lost more guys than they gained. I think that's why they're ranked that low. So, yeah. So let's take a look at the fucking schedule. First week, they're going to travel to Liberty. I think that'll be a fantastic matchup. And then they'll play at home against Eastern Illinois. That should be a win. Then they travel to Michigan. Woo! Ann Arbor, baby. Let's go. They're going to get their asses kicked. And then they'll play at home against Ohio. And then they'll travel to Georgia Tech to take on the Yellow Jackets, which... I think I touched up on Georgia Tech. I think they're going to be mediocre again. I don't know. I forget. And then they travel to Miami of Ohio, October 7th. And then they have another road game against Buffalo. Who the fuck scheduled these teams, man? I mean, they're based at... The headquarters is based out of Cleveland, Ohio, so... is it fucking Jake Paul? I swear to God. But October 21st, they'll play at home against Akron. And here we go again. The fucking goddamn double bye week. The double bye week. Here we go. They'll play at home against fucking Ball State. They'll travel to Kent State. And then they'll play against Toledo at home, their last home game. And they'll travel to Kalamazoo to take on the Western Michigan Broncos. All right. So I already went over my recruit and transfer portal ranking. Let's get into the fucking ceiling, floor, and predictions. Because I am getting sick of just looking at their fucking uniforms right now. I mean, the white uniforms are clean, but just thinking about the brown and the orange, it just hurts my fucking head.
God-awful uniforms, I gotta say.
Arguably the worst uniforms in college football. If not, the Michigan lime green with fucking dark green was god-awful. That was hideous.
That was a travesty.
Some of the Oregon uniforms that they think is cool, no. I fucking hate that too. And that should be another fucking talk box for another day. We already have too much in the bag to talk about. So my ceiling, my floor, and overall prediction. My ceiling 8-4, my floor 4-8, and my overall prediction 6-6 in the overalls. Listen, I mean, it's going to be the same season, I think, for Bowling Green. I really do think that they're going to have a lot of trouble with the Power Fives, but they're going to be very competitive with the Group of Fives this season. So, yeah, I think they have a good possibility of being 8-4, maybe 9-3, but I went with 8-4 because the simple fact is, they're not going to beat Eastern Michigan or Ohio or anybody else that's going to be relatively close in the MAC. So, yeah. Next team we're going to talk about is a team that actually has a good transfer portal ranking. And that says a lot right there. And they're actually a pretty decent team. They're coached by Maurice Linguist. Wow. Like the last name, Linguist. Cunnilingus. But Maurice Linguist. Terrible joke. But he's coming in with an 11-14 record in his third season at Buffalo. The Buffalo Bulls. 2022 record, 7-6 with a 5-3 conference record. I think this team's on the come up as far as Group of Fives. I think what Linguist has done over there at Buffalo has done a great job at recruiting. Recruiting records 86 or rankings at 86. His transfer portal ranking. Now this is where I'm talking about as far as recruiting. I think his transfer portal ranking is awesome. They're at a 64 ranked team in the Group of Five. Ahead of a lot of fucking Power Fives, to be honest. Buffalo, man, they might be on the come up this season. And you'll see why I say why. They have a pretty easy schedule as far as I know. The two big teams that they're going to have struggles with is basically Wisconsin and Liberty. And then they're going to have really tough competition with Ohio, Toledo, Central Michigan. Central Michigan every year, they're very competitive. Last season they did not do well. Miami of Ohio, that's going to be a tough game. Louisiana, Lafayette. They call themselves Louisiana for some reason. But they're always competitive. But let's talk about their schedule, and then we'll go to the ceiling, floor, and prediction right after I'm done. Their first game, they got to travel to Madison, Wisconsin, and take on Luke Fickell and the Badgers. I think that's a dub for the Badgers, definitely. Then they have 2 straight home games against Fordham. They're actually recruiting a kid down here in Ingleside, Texas. Shout out to them. But they will lose to Buffalo, in my opinion. Liberty, that's going to be a good game. Then they'll travel to Louisiana, Lafayette to take on the Raging Cajuns. Then they have 2 more road games to take on Akron. And then they'll take on Central Michigan right after that to face off against the Chippewas. Then they'll play at home against Bowling Green. They'll travel to Kent State. God damn, they got more road games than home games here. Holy fuck. And then 10 days later, a bye week and a half, they'll take on Toledo at Toledo, Ohio. And then a week after, they'll take on Ohio. Then they'll have 8 games to prepare for the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. And then they'll have 6 days to prepare for the Eastern Michigan Eagles at Eastern Michigan. Now, I like this schedule for Buffalo. I don't like the amount of fucking away games. There's only 5 home games that I see. There's 7 road games. And, 8. Yeah, there's 4 home games and 8 road games for them. Jesus Christ. I'm totally miscounted that. But, let's go ahead and move on to the ceiling, the floor, and the fucking predictions on this team. My ceiling could very easily go 10-2 here. My floor could definitely go 6-6 here. But my final prediction, I think they're going to go 7-5. I think they're going to have trouble with Wisconsin, Liberty, Louisiana, Lafayette, Toledo, possibly Ohio, possibly Miami of Ohio, possibly Eastern Michigan. I mean, this is going to be a tough schedule for them, especially being on the road most of the season. So I think they're going to do well this season. They might be that some people might look at it as a mediocre record, but I think this is a sign of improvement for Buffalo and Maurice Linguist. But let's go ahead and talk about Central Michigan. Last season they were 4-8 with a 3-5 conference record. Coach Jim McElwain, he's coming in his 5th season. He actually has a winning record, which is a first here in the MAC conference. 24-21. That's impressive. The recruit ranking's 90, just a little bit behind Buffalo, but their transfer portal ranking, that it's non-existent. The Chippewas, they were one of the teams to watch out for back in the day. They upset Oklahoma State at Stillwater, which is hard to do. They are a very, very confusing team at times. Like, one year they're good, one year they're bad, one year they're great, one year they're terrible. I mean, it's the same fucking story in the Mid-American Conference. I just don't know how much I could take with all these teams and all these group of fives. But the Sun Belt Conference, we will talk about them. We will hype that fucking conference up the way we need to. But the Mid-American Conference, they're close to the Sun Belt, but they're not quite there yet, in my opinion. I don't think that these teams can compete with the Sun Belt Conference. But back to Central Michigan. Their first game will be on the road to East Lansing to take on the Michigan State Spartans. Michigan as a whole should know this, but I don't know if this is exactly a rivalry, or Michigan State claims it to be a rivalry, or Central Michigan does. I don't know. I think it is. Comment down below in the comment section if you think it is, or if it is, or whatever. That's going to be tough. And then they play against New Hampshire at home. That's definitely a dub. Well, I don't know, because they're pretty good in the FCS level. Then they travel to Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. That's going to be a tough one. They travel to South Alabama. That's going to be a tough one. I think South Alabama is going to be really good in this season. Then they'll open up against Eastern Michigan. I think that's going to be a fun game. But I think the Eastern Michigan Eagles are really talented in this conference. Then they'll travel to Buffalo. That's going to be troublesome. Then they'll play against Akron. at home. That might be the easiest win of the season, to be honest. Then they'll travel to Ball State to take on the Cardinals, and then they'll take on Northern Illinois the last day of October 31st. Happy Halloween. Take on the Huskies of Northern Illinois. And then they'll travel to Western Michigan, travel to Ohio, and then they'll finish off against Toledo 9 days after Ohio. Fuck, this is gonna fucking hurt my brain talking about this schedule. Like, I think the worst team on the schedule is Akron. I genuinely think that. New Hampshire's pretty good in the FCS level. Central Michigan hasn't been that great in the last several years. Let's move on to the fucking ceiling floor.
The amount of away games is fucking preposterous. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying, dude.
Like, what the? Who comes up with this shit for them? Like, who comes up with this shit besides the headquarters for the MAC conference? Like, the MAC conference is one of the oldest fucking conferences in the country, and they're being punished for some fucking reason. I want to know why.
So I will say Buffalo had two teams that I got the wrong schedule for. So 2 of those games were home games, but this schedule is accurate, and they have 7 away games.
Yeah,
that's crazy. There's a reason for that confusion because, like, dude, the away games are just terrible, bro. They're fucking terrible. Like, 7 away games is preposterous.
Yeah. Not only that, fucking J-Mo had to go to medical today, deal with that bullshit. I know all about that. Somebody bitched about his fucking beard. He had to go tell him, listen, motherfucker, that's not part of the instruction because I'm on terminal leave, bitch.
Real.
Okay, I might have made up that part of the story, but
yeah, I did call him bitch. I was just like, okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I know J-Mo. He's a sweetheart, man.
Thanks,
he really
man. Is. Yeah. Still though, dude, the amount of away games here is like 7 away games. Are you serious, bro? Are you fucking kidding me?
You're setting your team up for failure, or you're setting up the conference for failure. Like,
yeah. That's ridiculous. Okay, my error on Buffalo, but Central Michigan, your schedule's ridiculous. Whoever made your schedule, and Bowling Green, I think it was too. Whoever made your guys' schedule.
They fucking hate you.
Yeah.
They fucking hate you for some reason. I get it with Bowling Green because they have the fucking ugliest color scheme in college football, but Central Michigan, I don't know why. They have a badass fight song. I love their fight song. You know, that fucking fight song fucking gets me hyped. We have a local fucking high school called Victoria West. They have the same exact fucking fight song. I fucking love it. Like, I get hyped listening to... For those that don't know, I listen to fucking fight songs in my truck. And on the way to work or on the way to a fucking bar, I don't know. I just get real excited. And I fucking play fucking fight songs. The only fight song I don't play is fucking Texas A&M because fuck them.
Oh, man,
but,
dude.
All right, moving on. Moving on to the ceiling, floor, and prediction. So, my ceiling for this team, 7-5. 7-5 for the Chippewas with a hellacious schedule as far as being on the road. Floor, 3-9. They could go 3-9 real easy. But my prediction, 5-7. Just based off of what the fuck are we dealing with here? Like, with the fucking road. And not only that, you got Michigan State, you got Notre Dame, and then you just have a really tough schedule overall. I think they'll improve. I think they have dogs out there, but the Chippewas are going to be chipped away in this fucking conference at some point. So, whew, man, I just feel bad for this team. But the next team I'm going to talk about, we're halfway into this fucking podcast, by the way. Holy fuck, already. That is going to be Eastern Michigan. Now, this team, the Eastern Michigan Eagles, they went 9-4 with a 5-3 record last season. Chris Crichton has one of the ugliest fucking records I've ever seen. 46-61 in 10 seasons. But he is slowly improving fucking Eastern Michigan for the better. And I can see why they're fucking keeping him. Even though the recruit ranking's 84, the transfer portal ranking is fucking 105th. Like I said, not enough to distribute a fucking ranking apparently. But
I will say that's one of the better recruit rankings out there, though. I will say that.
Yeah, like they are fucking above Buffalo right now in recruiting. And I think they are the best fucking recruit ranking in the Mid-American Conference. You know, and one of the top fucking recruiting stations in the fucking Power 5. And you're in the same fucking conference as Miami of Ohio, Toledo, who won the fucking MAC last year, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, Western Michigan. I mean, there's teams in there that could potentially turn things around in a heartbeat. But, man, Eastern Michigan's on to something right now. I think they're gonna build up a group of 5 dynasty like Boise State did and UCF with Scott Frost, you know. But we'll see what happens with the Eagles. That used to be their fucking team name, for those that don't know, the Eastern Michigan Hurons. But due to political correctness, they changed their names to the Eastern Michigan Eagles. So, for those that changed their fucking names to Eagles, Warhawks, what's another one? Fucking Red Wolves. Shame on you, because you should have kept your fucking pride, you know.
Washington Redskins to Washington Commanders. Just saying.
Oh, they're the fucking Washington transgenders or transitions. Like, fuck's sakes, man. They have to change their name again. So, because they tried to file for trademark. But we're back to the schedule. Eastern Michigan. They'll play home against Howard, who is a terrible HBCU. And when I mean terrible, I mean on the field terrible. I don't know how they are off the field or whatever. I don't really care. I just care about on the field. Then 8 days later, they'll travel to Minnesota to take on the Golden Gophers. That is going to be fucking scary game for Eastern Michigan. Either they're going to prove everybody wrong that they're going to play well against Minnesota and barely lose, or they're going to be fucking trash in that game. But like I said, they have an easier schedule than most of the teams in the MAC, in my opinion. Then they'll play home against UMass. They have 2 straight away games taking on Jacksonville State, and they play against their rival Central Michigan. Then they have fucking 4 straight home games in October. Ball State, Kent State, Liberty, Western Michigan. And then they'll travel to Toledo to take on the Rockets in Toledo November 8th. And then November 14th is their last home game against the Zips in Akron, or at home against Akron. And then they'll play at Buffalo to take on the Bulls. Like I said, this is a fucking easy-ass schedule if you're fucking Eastern Michigan. But I could see potential losses in fucking definitely Minnesota. Definitely a Liberty loss.
Another error. The Liberty game is actually going to be Northern Illinois. That's another thing that changed.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Never mind.
No, you're
Scratch
fine.
that. Yeah, they got a lot of Liberties and Liberty on the board in their scheduling too. So
My bad.
I totally
Yeah.
get it. But yeah, scratch Liberty. That's Northern Illinois. Never mind about that fucking potential loss. That won't be I think the Toledo game might be a potential loss. I also think, hear me out on this, Central Michigan might be a potential loss. Buffalo might be a potential loss. But let's go over the ceiling, the floor, and the prediction, my good friend JMO. And we are going to talk about what I feel like they're going to go. Ceiling, floor, prediction. I think their ceiling's going to be 11-1. Easily one of the better schedules. I think they have possibly the most talented roster in the MAC, aside from Toledo and many others. The floor 8-4. They're gonna be tough this season in the MAC. I really do think they are gonna be better than the floor, which is why I have them at 9-3. Just based off of the potential road game losses to Minnesota, Toledo, and Buffalo. I think Buffalo will be the better competition, but I could definitely see Central Michigan beating them at Central Michigan. So it's gonna be an interesting year for Eastern Michigan, especially traveling to fucking Minnesota, where they gotta take on the Golden Gophers in that Big Ten stadium. I mean, it's not the first time they've ever played a Big Ten team, but I'm very intrigued to see what this team does this season. Next team is not such a great team. That would be the Kent State Golden Flashes. What kind of fucking name is that? Golden Flashes. What does that even fucking mean? Like, does it represent lightning? Does it represent fucking wheat? What the fuck are they? Where are they from? Fucking Ohio? I'm pretty sure they're from Ohio. They need to be dropped down to fucking FCS because they have been consistently horrible.
They're from Kent, Ohio.
What kind of fucking Clark Kent fucking graduated from there? Jesus. But no, on a serious note, I listen. I do think Kent State could do better. But man, they have consistently been bad in the last several years. I will say this though. Kent State, they put up a fight when they need to. That's one thing, and they do have talent. So let's go over their recruit ranking. I'm not going to go over the rest of the fucking transfer portal until fucking Western Michigan because none of them have a fucking rank. They don't get ranked below fucking 105th apparently if you're fucking that bad at transfer portal rankings. But if you're Kent State, you want a good recruiting rank, right? You're at 121st. And in my estimation, that is the worst recruit rank in the MAC conference, which is something you cannot have. You do not have a good recruit ranking. You do not have a good transfer portal ranking. And you've already lost guys in the transfer portal. You've lost guys in the draft. I'm just going to be blunt about this. I don't think Kent State's going to be that good this season. But let's go ahead and talk about them. They hired a new guy, Kenny Burns, first season. I hope he does well. I hope they do well. Do I think they're going to do well? Absolutely not. Because look at this schedule right here. Week 1, they travel to Central Florida to take on the Golden Knights, or the Knights. Then week 2, I'm pretty sure that is away, but they're taking on Arkansas. And then they'll take on Central Connecticut State. That sounds like a fucking movie title right there. Central Connecticut State. But no, fucking, that should be an easy win right there. Miami of Ohio. That's going to be a tough game. At Ohio. That's going to be a tough game. At Eastern Michigan. So you got the first 4 games in the MAC you're going to have trouble with. One of them's at home, 2 of them are away, and then you go back home to take on Buffalo. And then you will have an easier game, but you play at Akron, so that's going to be tough. Playing against Bowling Green at home, that's going to be tough again. They'll play at Ball State, tough. Northern Illinois at home, last game of the season, tough. But this is a tough team. I do think they are very competitive in a competitive aspect. They just got to stay healthy and be able to play with these big dogs in the Mid-American Conference. But let's go ahead and talk about the ceiling, the floor, and the prediction here for the Golden Flashes. All right. So my ceiling is 8-4. If they get things right this year, first year for Kenny Burns, 8-4 is the number. You're definitely going to lose to UCF. You're definitely going to lose to Arkansas. I think you're going to lose to Ohio and Eastern Michigan. That's your big losses. My floor for them, 1-11. Who are they going to lose or beat? Central Connecticut State. My overall prediction, 4-8. It's going to be tough. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about this schedule. I don't think this schedule is friendly for Kent State. But I do wish them well. I do. So let's go ahead and move on to Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks. Last season they went 6-7 with a 4-4 conference record. Chuck Martin, who's been in his 10th season, still not a winning record with a 45-59 record in Miami of Ohio, but he's been kind of fluctuant with it too. Like, they win some, they lose some, they win some, they lose some. Like, they're mediocre. That's the best way for me to put it. And their best years was Big Ben being there.
Oh yeah.
JMO is a fan of Big Ben, so don't attack him. He is my producer, so don't attack him because
blame me if you want. That's all right. I understand if you flame me.
Oh no.
Riddell's trying to save me here, man. Like, he's trying to save me.
I'm trying so hard to save you, but it's hard not to save you. Or it's hard. It's hard to save you when you're saying, "Go ahead and flame me." Go ahead and flame me. I'm like Big Ben. That's just like saying. Go ahead and flame me because I picked TCU to beat Georgia. You know?
Oh my god.
And we all know how that happened. I got humbled. So.
Oh man. Hey, all I'm saying is he was up there with Peyton and Tom, so we'll get into that in
He was definitely a trendsetter at Pittsburgh. I will say that. So.
Oh yeah, they need another one of those. But anyway.
You're telling me. All right, Miami of Ohio. Their recruit rank is 103rd. Well, not good, but not bad as far as Mid-American Conference is. Well, yeah, as far as Mid-American Conference is concerned. They will have some very difficult games. They'll take on the Miami Hurricanes week 1, who I think is going to be a very good team this season. Then week 2, is that a road or a home game? I don't remember.
That's road. That's accurate. This schedule's
okay.
accurate.
This schedule's actually accurate. Okay, good. Week 2, travel to UMass to take on the Minutemen. Okay. Week 3, I think this is a rivalry. Cincinnati at home against Miami of Ohio. I do think this is a rivalry game.
It is. It is.
So it makes sense because they both wear red and they're in Ohio. They're pretty close to each other. So why not, right? Week 4, they take on Delaware State. Then they travel to Kent State in their first MAC competition. Then they'll play at home against Bowling Green, travel to Kalamazoo to take on Western Michigan. Then they'll play against Toledo at home. Then they'll travel to their rivals, Ohio. Then they'll have back-to-back home games. The last 2 home games of the season, Akron and Buffalo, and they travel to Ball State at the end of the season. Same thing I said about Eastern Michigan, but a little bit heavier fucking schedule than Eastern Michigan. I think Miami of Ohio is a good team. There's just way too much fucking firepower in their fucking on their schedule. So let's go ahead and hit that fucking ceiling, the floor, and my predictions. And I am getting real comfortable with this podcast tonight, folks. So, my ceiling for Miami of Ohio, 7-5. My floor, 5-7. My actual prediction, 6-6. I mean, look at it this way. Is it a fucking easy schedule? Yes or no? I'm going to tell you no. You're talking to the college football guru, goddammit. So, it's not easy. That's why I have them at 6-6 as my overall prediction. I really want them to be a contender again, but in order to do that, you got to have a really good recruiting and transfer portal. Now, transfer portal is a fucking factor in today's college football. You need transfers to come in. Guys that don't get enough credit over at Texas or Alabama, hell, even Georgia or Kentucky. You need to start hitting those guys up. You're in that fucking Big Ten and SEC country that you need to go after them. The Mid-American Conference should be the next conference, not the American, not the Mountain West. Just fucking be that group of 5 that goes after the SEC and Big Ten. Hell, go after the Big 12 now. You got Cincinnati in there. Fuck.
I will say, when Big Ben was there, they were championship material.
They were. They were.
And they can be again, but that's all dependent on them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that one. But now we're going to get into this fucking team. Northern Illinois. The Huskies. I actually like their throwback. Miami of Ohio has a badass throwback, and so does this team. Northern Illinois. That fucking puffed up fucking, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass if you act up in the bar Husky. I like it.
I will say, I like their uniforms too. Good color scheme.
Dude, I think they're my favorite uniforms. If not them, Toledo. Hell, Western Michigan has some fabulous uniforms too. But
hell yeah.
But these are definitely top 2.
Oh yeah.
These are definitely top 2. Northern Illinois last season, they didn't do so hot, which I don't think they're going to do so hot this year because look at their fucking schedule. If you haven't looked at it already, their fucking schedule is packed. Last season, they went 3-9 with 2-6 record. Their 5th season with Thomas Hammock. I don't know if they're going to fire this guy or not. Usually with group of 5s, They keep fucking guys forever, especially in the Mid-American Conference and Conference USA.
Some of them have fucking new guys, but this, I mean,
when are we gonna see change in this motherfucker? Like,
you got a 17-27 record. Like, there's only
1, 2, 3 guys that are still coaching this that are fucking over 500, if not at 500. You know, 2 of them are over. One of them is at 500. The rest are under 500, or has not even coached a game in the conference or with their new team. So this is gonna be fucking interesting
for sure. But with Thomas Hammock in Northern Illinois, I have the recruit ranking.
They are at 101. Not good, not bad. For a Mid-American Conference, could be better. They used to be good when we were in high school. In the first portion of my Navy career.
Yeah,
After
I remember
that, they fucking fell off.
Yeah, yes they
They
did.
fell off. Like, what the fuck
So
happened?
fucking hard. So fucking hard. I remember in high school, right? Because I lived in Kentucky. They had a rivalry with Southern Illinois, and that rivalry was so fun to watch because Northern Illinois was always good. But now they've fallen so far off, dude, and it's so unfortunate. It's unreal.
Well, and you know what's crazy? They still keep the tradition with Southern Illinois, too. That's what I respect about Northern Illinois. They want to play with their rivals.
Oh, yeah, dude. Even though they're still, Southern Illinois is still an SC, or not SC.
FCS.
FCS, thank you. Yeah, FCS school. Yeah, they still keep the tradition, and honestly, I haven't had respect for that. It's going to be a rivalry that I continue to watch to this day.
Dude, same here. The Salukis and the Huskies. That is a fucking interesting fucking rivalry. But we're going to talk about that. At Boston College week 1. Tough game. Then they play against the rivals, the Salukis and the Huskies matchup. Then they'll travel to Lincoln to take on Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
A lot of Nebraska games, man. I swear to God.
You said what about Nebraska?
There are a lot of Nebraska games, man. Like, all these teams want to play Nebraska like their lives depend on it, man. It's crazy.
They want that fucking money. They want that
True.
money because they were a fucking powerhouse in the 90s. They're not a fucking powerhouse now, so why do you even want that?
True.
It's the same way with A&M. The only reason why A&M has any money is because they have fucking oil field money. You know? So, I live in Texas. I know what that shit's like. Fucking
Exactly. Exactly.
And they want to play against Texas because they know it's a guaranteed loss, but they're going to get a good cut. So, anyway.
Amen.
Yeah, so anyway, we're going to move it to week 4 as they take on Tulsa. I was about to say Toloso. Good God, that's a school down. That's a school down here. Then they'll travel to Toledo, travel to Akron for their first couple of MAC games. They'll play at home against Ohio and Eastern Michigan right after those 2 road games. Then they'll travel to Central Michigan. Then they'll play their last 2 home games against Ball State and Western Michigan. Then they'll travel to Kent State to take on the Golden Flashes. The schedule's too hard for them. I mean, look at this. Like, it's a potential 2-6 start. 2-6. Like, that's nowhere near bowl eligibility right there.
Safe to say they will not be going to a bowl. I don't think.
I don't think so.
They could prove me wrong. They could prove us wrong, Jama.
But I don't think so. But let's go ahead and move on to the ceiling, floor, and predictions
on this one. My ceiling for the Northern Illinois fucking Huskies. This team is gonna go 6-6 on my ceiling. My floor 2-10. So why do I have them over fucking Kent State? I fucking 2-10 on my floor. Well, they have easy wins, in my opinion. Southern Illinois and fucking Akron. They have a somewhat easier schedule than fucking Kent State. But my overall prediction is 3-9. I do think they will win 3 games, but they will be right back at 3-9. It's not that hard to tell that they have had bad history in the last 5 seasons. I'm not blaming the coach, but at some point you have to win more than fucking 3 or 5 games in a season. I'm sorry. It's the God honest truth, but every team beats each other up. But let's go ahead and move on to the Ohio Bobcats. This team right here, I think, is a legitimate contender for the MAC conference. They are a fucking ruthless team. They are physical. I've seen them play last season. Tim Albin really turned it around last season. He went 9-5 with a 5-3 record. Or no, 10-4 with a 7-1 record in the conference. The first season they went 3-9 with Tim Albin. See, this is what I'm talking about with this conference. You could change in 2 seasons. Like, one moment you're good, one moment you're bad, or one moment you're terrible, and next thing you know, you're a fucking conference championship contender.
It's hard to predict, man.
Yeah, and I'm the fucking brunt of it.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, he's coming into his 3rd season, not second, his 3rd season under Ohio. I do think this is going to be a good football team. They are very physical. They like to run the ball in the read option. I genuinely like Ohio very much, and I love their uniforms too. So let's go ahead and talk about the schedule.
They've got
here.
Great uniforms.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about Ohio's schedule here. They'll travel to San Diego State to take on the Aztecs. That's going to be a tough game. Then they'll take on LIU, Long Island University. They're going to beat the shit out of them, I think. And then they'll play Tom Herman and the Florida Atlantic Owls at Fort Lauderdale. That's gonna be a fun game to watch. We don't know what to expect from Casey Thompson and Tom Herman at Florida Atlantic. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this season, including myself. Now, this game right here, week 4, September 16th, they'll be taking on Iowa State. Now, I told everybody Iowa State was going to go 4-8 this season. And I do think I said that they were going to beat Ohio or they were going to lose to Ohio. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. I just think Iowa State's going to be a bad team and Ohio's going to be a good team. This is going to be a good matchup right here. Iowa State and Ohio. But keep a lookout on week 4 or week 5 or whatever the hell they decide to call that week, September 16th. Because Ohio is playing at home against Iowa State. They're not playing at Ames. They're playing at home. So, expect a fucking good football game out of Ohio. Then they'll travel to Bowling Green to take on the Falcons. They'll play Kent State at home. Travel to Northern Illinois. Play at home against Western Michigan. Play at home against Miami of Ohio. Travel to Buffalo. play their last home game against Central Michigan, and then they'll spend 9 days, take a little break, and then they'll play Akron at Akron.
Ohio's recruiting rank is
96 in the country. Not necessarily good, but it's not bad. It's not the worst one I've seen.
like I've seen far worse. If not, that has to be.
No, that's the fourth best. Fourth best recruiting rank. So, yeah.
I think Ohio's going to be a good team. Let's go ahead and talk about the ceiling, the floor, and the prediction. Now, this fucking team, I genuinely think is going to be a good football team again. Their ceiling 11-1. You could probably see why I got them at 11-1. I think the only loss they'll have on their ceiling will be week 1 against San Diego State. That's going to be a tough one. The floor 6-6. My overall prediction 9-3, losing to San Diego State, Iowa State, and possibly one of the fucking either Toledo or anybody else that is on top of the MAC right now. But as far as I'm concerned, Ohio is fucking good. So keep an eye out on the Bobcats. Next team we're going to talk about, though, is the MAC champions of last season, the Toledo Rockets. 2022, they were 9-5 with a 5-3 record. Jason Candle. This guy has the best record, I think, in the MAC. 54-32 in his 8th season in this conference, or with this team anyway. He's built a really good program at Toledo. I think they're going to be a decent team again this season. They have somewhat of a fair schedule, but at the same time, the MAC conference is very mischievous once it comes to predicting. Unless you know those fucking schools by heart and you know this conference by heart, you're not going to get any of these predictions right. So, the recruit ranking's 100. They are right at 100 at the recruit mark. So they're in the top 100. I could say that. That includes FCS teams. So, good for them. They made it to the fucking top 5 in the fucking MAC. But Toledo does have some raw talent. They make 3 stars and 2 stars look like fucking 4 stars and 5 stars out there, as far as the MAC's concerned. But they will start off at Illinois. Illinois is going to be one of those tricky teams. Like I said, they're going to be good or bad. You never know. Then they have fucking 4 straight home games. Texas Southern, San Jose State, Western Michigan, Northern Illinois. Potentially a 4-1 start. Then they travel to UMass, 5-1 start. Ball State, potentially a 6-1 start. Then they travel to Miami of Ohio. They might lose that one. Then they'll play home against Buffalo and Eastern Michigan. Although, I do like that. They are playing at home against Buffalo and Eastern Michigan. They could still be considered losses. So, 6-4 right there. At Bowling Green, 6-5. Central Michigan, 7-5. But let's take a look at my ceiling, my floor, and my prediction. Because that's not my prediction. I got a better prediction than that for Toledo. My ceiling is 9-3. My floor is 6-6. But what's my prediction, TJ? It's a fucking 8-4. I think you're gonna lose to Illinois. I think you're gonna have that ugly 3-game stretch where you lose to Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, and I think Miami of Ohio, right? Is that what I said?
Miami of Ohio. Yep.
So you're gonna have that 3-game ugly stretch, and then you're gonna bounce back. I think they won't go back to the MAC championship, but I think they'll be a tough contender this season. So Toledo Rockets, I think they'll be decent this year. And then the last team, they fired their head coach. They're bringing in a new guy. He's coaching for the Western Michigan Broncos. They went 5-7 with a 4-4 record. You know what's interesting about this conference, JMO? They have a lot of 5-7s, but they're 4-4. Like Kent State, Western Michigan.
I'm telling you, they're all over the place, man. They're either really good or really bad.
5-7 and 3-5 for Ball State last season. Like, Jesus Christ. Now, I love their fucking throwback there for Western Michigan, but they have an awkward schedule, man. Like, it looks fun at first, and then it gets real menacing at the end. St. Francis, and then they have a 3-game road stretch to take on Syracuse, Iowa, and Toledo. Easily 1-3. Ball State at home could be a 2-3. At Mississippi State, at Starkville. I have experienced Mississippi State fans. I fucking love Mississippi State fans with those fucking cowbells.
Let me tell you what, man. They're all about the 11th man, man. Let me tell you what. They're the 12th man, rather.
A&M ain't gonna like what you just said. They're gonna fucking be
I don't
like,
care.
oh, J-Mo.
Let me tell you. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Let me tell you who the real 12th man is. Are you ready? 10-7, Mississippi State right there. If you've ever been to one of their football games, let me tell you something. You are in for an experience. That's all I'm going to say, dude.
Yeah.
That is all I'm going to say. They are electric.
I went to the bowl game where Lamar Jackson played his last collegiate game.
Dude. Oh, man.
I was front row. I made it to ESPN. Mom, Dad, I made it to that level. But let me tell you something. I was rooting for Mississippi State. You know why? I was trying to get Lamar Jackson's fucking attention. He didn't listen. I'm sure he was too focused in the game. But I wanted his attention. He never said anything, but every Mississippi State guy, every Mississippi State player came and talked to me, was like, "What's up, dog? What's up, dog?" They didn't know who the fuck I was, obviously, because I was a fucking nobody back then.
No, dude.
I'm talking about sports world. I'm not talking about general. I know I'm a person.
No, I know. But dude, even so, that Mississippi State, like I said, have you ever been down there?
Dude, they fucking opened. They opened up, and they're like, "I shit you not." I talked to a Mississippi State fan at that game. He said, "Bro, I'd much rather have fucking Texas than fucking Texas A&M."
Yeah.
He said that.
Mm-hmm.
And if any A&M fan calls me a liar, they're fucking disgruntled as shit about it, because it is the god honest truth. JMO knows I like to, when I talk about stuff like this, I am actually telling the truth.
Yeah.
I made bullshit a couple things, but this is the god honest truth. I'm not hating on A&M right now. I am serious.
Yeah.
He said, I'd much rather have Texas than Texas A&M because they bring in more competition, bring in more recruits, bring in more money.
Yeah.
But the truth is, A&M and Texas both bring in a lot of money, so you don't really know who's bringing in more cash. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, who's the bigger brand? Texas is.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, shit, okay, thanks. I was I remember, and Bully, that fucking mascot, that fucking, not the bulldog, but the fucking mascot.
Yeah.
I have a picture with him.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
I have a
man.
picture with him. So Mississippi State, even though Mike Leach isn't with you anymore, God bless his soul.
Oh man,
he is my favorite coach of all time.
That's for a reason, dude. That's for a reason.
Yeah.
He built up an amazing program, man. I will always have mad respect. There was the Kentucky versus Mississippi State game. I remember, I think they came by during one of the years I was at Lexington. Dude, they played us, and they were like, they defined Southern hospitality. That's me coming from Kentucky. They defined Southern hospitality.
The fucking bluegrass state, bro.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you, Mississippi State tops that, brother. Let me tell you, Mississippi State shows you what Southern hospitality is. They do not care, bro. They're like, oh, we're playing football. We're here to play football. That's great. But as soon as we're done, hey, you know what? You come over, we'll prep you the biggest Thanksgiving meal you've ever had, and it's not even Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like, they wanted me to go drink with them. I was like, no, I gotta get back to base. I gotta get my Uber. I ended up getting fucked up with some Mississippi State fans.
Hell yeah, brother.
Stayed at a hotel. I don't even remember where the fuck I went, but god damn, that was a night. But anyway, great moment. October 14th, they'll take on Miami of Ohio. Then they'll travel to Ohio to take on the Bobcats. Then they'll travel to Eastern Michigan to take on the Hurons or the Eagles. And then they'll take on Central Michigan at home. Travel to Northern Illinois to take on the Huskies. And they'll have their last home game of the season, against Bowling Green. Western Michigan, they're just like every fucking team on this list, like they're either good or bad or fucking there's no in between. It's either good or bad, The Mountain West Conference, which will be coming up next week, we are going to try to fucking push all fucking conference previews back into schedule because I fucking made a no, and I forgot to do it yesterday. Forgot to do my research, and I just did not feel like it. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and do the ceiling, the floor, and the fucking predictions, and then we'll be done with this preview, and then we'll have our TJ's Talk Box. So, what is my ceiling, my floor, and my predictions for the Western Michigan Broncos? My ceiling, 5-7. Tough schedule. My floor, 1-11. Tough schedule. Prediction, 3-9. Guess what? Tough schedule.
Tough schedule. I will say, man, if they're rebuilding a program, this is the schedule to do it with. Because, it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get harder than this.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree, J-Mo. Like, if you want to rebuild a fucking program, like, on any level, except for NFL, because you have no fucking choice. I mean, you really don't have a choice in college football, or I think high school's a little bit different. Like, I don't know how it is in Kentucky, but in Texas, you're able to pick and choose a home and away. Like, you can't pick and choose a different district. Like, that's based on enrollment. But man, I wish it was like that in college. I really do, but I get it. I get it. But yeah, exactly what you hit the nail on the noggin on this one. If you're gonna restart with a fucking first year head man, you're gonna have to have a fucking tough schedule and build these kids. And I think Western Michigan's a young team, if I'm not mistaken. But I will go back and look at the rosters and depth charts. I need to look at that anyway. But I just don't see how they're going to be good, especially with a fucking first-year head man. It's always hard. There's no Sonny Dykes out there. I say Sonny Dykes for a reason because he's the only one that actually made it to the big dance in his first fucking season. But then again, he had raw talent.
Yeah.
This is his first actual year recruiting, and he's actually doing a hell of a job at TCU.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
But with that being said, I mean, with Lance Taylor being a first-year head man at Western Michigan, like, that's a whole different ball game. You're a fucking group of 5 competing against Michigan, Michigan State, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, Western Kentucky.
Yep.
Forgot to mention that. Marshall, West Virginia, Ohio State, Ohio. You're competing with all these different schools. And I never got that. Like, how do these teams fail so fucking low to not be able to compete and try to be better than Ohio State, try to be better than Michigan, you know? But
yeah,
at the end of the day, they're a group of 5. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But that concludes the Mid-American Conference preview of 2023. Now, before we jump on to the next podcast, which this podcast will end, and then we'll jump on to the next one. Take a little 10-minute breather. Grab a couple snacky poos or whatever. I actually got to cook. I actually got to cook in a little while after the pod, but I mean, the Mid-American Conference, the Mid-American Conference to me, as a historic brand, historic rivalries, even though they're not known as the Iron Bowl or the Red River Shootout or Louisville, Kentucky, you know, I mean, it's one of those these fucking small rivalries that makes college football special, you know, and I actually like the Mid-American Conference. I just don't see how they could be so competitive with the Sun Belt or the Mountain West Conference. Conference USA, I think they could be. I think they could beat the shit out of Conference USA any day. The American is basically a fucking Power 6, and if you get there, you're basically knocking on the door being a Power fucking 5, which might be a Power 4 or a Power 3 at some point because of the fact that the Pac-12 is imploding. 2036, we don't know what's going to happen with the ACC, which we have 13 years to wait on that because of the fucking contracts. But yeah, the Mid-American Conference has lasted this long with these smaller schools. I mean, I don't know how the fuck they did it. I don't, because we've seen some god awful fucking football from these schools. But then we've seen teams like Central Michigan, NIU, Western Michigan pull upsets, you know, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and I appreciate the Mid-American Conference for bringing in really good quality football. Now, before I go, again, thank you all for watching tonight's podcast. If you have been watching this, good. If you are watching this later on and you watch the whole fucking thing, good on you. And I just want to thank everybody that keeps watching our shit. And I just am really appreciative. Even if it's just fucking 52 subscribers, which we're fucking growing. Believe it or not, we are growing at a good rate right now.
Yes, we are.
And it's exciting to see the PMP start to grow a little bit. I mean, here in a little while, we're fixing to do something that hasn't been done on the PMP before. You know, we're about to analyze a fucking video that belongs to somebody. It will be in the description, by the way, folks. So hear me out on that. So the YouTube bots cannot fuck with us. We will put the link in the description below. Not this video, but the next live stream, which will be in about 10 minutes or so. So we're looking at about 9:10, 9:15 when we start back up. Around this time. But I appreciate everybody that watches. And for those that don't watch and ask me in public, how's the podcast? How about you watch it and you tell me otherwise?
Real.
You know, I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you how it is. If you're concerned, watch it. If not, fuck off. I don't care. You know, I'm not fucking hurting. I'm not making money off of this shit. So what do I have to lose, you know? But for those that do watch it and they do ask, what do I feel about this? What do I feel about NIL? What do I feel about, you know, and it's awesome. It's awesome that people even ask me my opinion, because I want to be the next Josh Pate. I want to be the next Coach JB. I want to be the next fucking Pat McAfee. But without fucking... I'm not saying that all these guys do this, but I don't want to be the next fucking ESPN guy or Fox guy, because I don't want to be in a network. I want to have my own network. And that's going to be the Pigskin Mafia podcast. So that's all I want out of this, if it becomes big enough. But until then, we are the PMP, the greatest show in South Texas right now, maybe in the entire world, that people don't know.
Amen.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Goodbye. Mwah. Good night. Bang. Hit it, JMO.